Welcome to Back of the Rack, a gaming videocast about games long neglected and not respected, games that everyone's heard of or hated, or no one's heard of and loved. We play the games in between the essentials and the unwanted, but mostly, we play what we want on this podcast.
Thank you for listening on podcast platforms or watching on YouTube, which we consider to be the optimal way to experience our content. Join our Discord where you can talk with us and others about Back of the Rack games. Make sure to like and comment on our videos and leave good reviews for podcast feeds because your feedback and engagement is the fuel that keeps us going. We hope everyone watching and listening is doing great, and we thank you for joining us today on another episode. Starting off, we will introduce this month's game with the scripted segment giving you all the details. Then we'll go into our unscripted thoughts about the game shortly after. I'm Bendezzer, and with me as always is Sondi. So without further ado, please enjoy. Released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, Dirge of Cerberus is an action role-playing third-person shooter developed and published by Square Enix, with Monolith Soft credited as co-developer. The game was part of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII Meta-Series, a transmedia initiative by Square Enix to expand the characters and world from Final Fantasy VII. Producer Yoshinari Kitase was inspired to make a Final Fantasy shooter from his love of the FPS genre. While Barrett was in the running to lead the title, the dev team ultimately chose Vincent Valentine over other characters, with Yoshinari saying that Vincent made a presence in his mind. Set 3 years after the 1997 PS1 classic, and 1 year after the CGI film Advent Children, gamers play as Vincent, who was called upon by his old ally and now leader of the WRO, Reeve Tuetzi, asking Vince to visit the town of Calm for a celebration. While there, the town is sieged by soldiers, killing and capturing civilians, prompting Vincent to take action. This event introduces a mysterious organization named Deep Ground led by the Sviets, an elite group of soldiers, setting up a mystery that takes Vincent to the city of Edge, where he confronts one of the members of the Sviets, the sadistic Rosso the Crimson. While in battle with her, Vincent transforms into Chaos, Vincent's limit break from Final Fantasy VII, forcing Rosso to retreat, after which Vincent collapses of exhaustion. When he awakes, he meets Shallua, a WRO scientist, and finds he has been taken to their headquarters. Soon after, Vince discovers more about a former Shinra scientist, Lucrezia, that he was assigned to protect during his time with the Turks, unraveling her involvement in the Chaos Project. From here, the story builds on lightly established elements from Final Fantasy VII, giving more narrative weight to mechanics like Vincent's limit break and its background, as well as fleshing out Lucrezia's guilt over her research with Professor Hojo. After a surprise attack on the WRO headquarters by Deep Ground, Vincent battles Azul the Cerulean and Shulk the Transparent, who is revealed to be the sister of Shallua and later in the story switches her allegiances. Vincent is told by Reeves to head to Nibelheim to search for Deep Ground. There he confronts Rosso again, who steals the protomateria from within him, revealing that he needs it to control Chaos. Vincent, now struggling with the possibility of Chaos, his limit break, overtaking him, is almost killed by Rosso, but is saved by Yuffie, bringing her trademark levity to the story. Multiple characters from Final Fantasy VII are introduced throughout, with Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett making a brief and welcome appearance. Their inclusion is minor and still gives Vincent the proper space for his story to come into its own, as well as develop other characters. The plot juggles several narrative threads that wrap up in a fashion one would expect from the Final Fantasy series, with series producer Yoshinari Kitase wanting to retain longtime fans with a deep and rich story, while newer fans would be brought in by more real-time active gameplay. While fans of the series appreciated the attempt to add more layers to Vincent's backstory and the world after the events of Final Fantasy VII, many felt that it was lacking as an overall package. One of the bigger criticisms towards the game was its combat. Players are tasked with shooting enemies using one of several upgradable weapons, like Vincent's trademark triple-barreled revolver Cerberus, a rifle named Hydra, and, to follow the mythological naming convention, a machine gun named Griffin. Each weapon has multiple slots that the player can customize. The barrel slot can be outfitted with different barrels that change several parameters like weight, attack power, speed, and range. Each barrel has a cost-benefit model. For instance, adding a long barrel to a weapon will give Vincent higher long-range accuracy, but will also reduce Vincent's movement speed. The remaining slots are where you can add a scope and accessories that can add a variety of abilities through the use of materia. Dirge of Cerberus can get quite extensive with its weapon stats and charts. However, the use of those modules is not necessary for a normal playthrough. Shooting isn't the only means by which Vincent can dispatch enemies. There is a melee button giving players access to a 3-hit combo in the rare instance players might be out of ammunition. Furthermore, Vincent can use a limit break via an item to turn into the Galleon Beast, which enhances the melee combat potential, increases attack power, and recovers all health, giving players a trump card when backed into a corner. While players will spend the majority of their time with Vincent, a stealth mission featuring a playable Kate Sith is present, breaking up the non-stop action of the first act before leading into the second. Dirge of Cerberus has a staff of heavy hitters in its development team. Yoshinari Katase, as producer for Dirge, has director credits on classic titles as Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VIII, and Final Fantasy X. He co-produced Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2. Legendary character designer Tetsuya Nomura lends his talents to Dirge of Cerberus and has many credits in different roles for different projects. Having designed the iconic characters of Final Fantasy VII and the Kingdom Hearts series, longtime Square Enix composer Masashi Hamauzu is credited for the music of Dirge of Cerberus. Hamauzu has composed music for 2023's Wild Hearts, Final Fantasy XIII, Final Fantasy X, and 2005's Musashi Samurai Legend. The director of Dirge of Cerberus previously directed 1994's Dragon Ball Z 2 Super Battle for arcade, and its predecessor 1993's Dragon Ball Z. He was a planner on Final Fantasy VII and a project manager on Final Fantasy XV, and has contributed to other games like Front Mission and Forspoken in various capacities. Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus is a title with great ambition, and one that saw Square Enix move out of its comfort zone in dramatic fashion. Whether or not leadership did the proper research to put Dirge's best foot forward was left to the fans and the critics to decide in 2006. Players felt conflicted on Vincent's first solo outing, with the consensus being that the title had failed to have as refined gameplay as other third-person shooters, and wasn't able to recapture much of the magic that made Final Fantasy VII the cultural phenomenon of the series. Some praised the gameplay as engaging but overstayed its welcome, and others praised the narrative direction, citing great use of the Final Fantasy VII world with fragments of interesting ideas that were brought down by generic ones. Dirge of Cerberus might have divided fans in 2006, but it managed to leave an impression on many of the youth of the time and has nearly reached a cult status, leaving no doubt that this PS2 title, with its few diehard fans and many detractors, is fit for back of the rack.
So yeah, let's talk about when we first heard about Dirge of Cerberus, or when we first experienced it in the real world. This is a very important game to me personally, a lot like Musashi. But I'm curious to see what your like exposure to it was,
Oh no,
or if you had any exposure.
I was actually going to agree with you on this one. This is a very special game to me. This was one of the games that made me interested in Final Fantasy as a kid, but I never dabbled until recently. But I rented it. I think I rented Final Fantasy 12, got to the sewer part, gave up, took it back, got Dirge of Cerberus, couldn't beat the first level, took it back. But I played this game as a kid, and I've always thought it was like the coolest looking thing. Vincent's design has always been struck out for me.
How old were you when you played it? What do you think?
9, 10? Because that's how old
Okay, yeah, so very
2007. Yeah, so I was
like very formative, because I was
9, 10.
I was going into high school. I was 14, 15, around there. So like everything was like anything like that was super cool to me.
So you had a goth phase? Had a little emo
pretty much
phase?
It was more of, because it's super anime. Like it's
That's
like
true.
like it's although it's super goth or emo, especially Vincent, it was very like much like he had like the Sasuke personality, like just the cool anime character.
He's voiced by Steve Blum. Like, you hear her, you immediately you're like, oh snap, it's a Toonami guy. I don't know why. For me, it's that's the first thing I think of when I hear Steve Blum's voices. Oh, Toonami.
For me, it's Wolverine for sure. Like
that's
those
funny.
two.
Neither of us say Cowboy Bebop. That's so funny.
Oh right, that's right. Well, I didn't watch Cowboy Bebop. I didn't really grow up with or watch it. That's actually my like anime blind spot as far as like classics go. And I own, or at least owns, like the Blu-ray collection.
I got the full box set.
I don't know. It's one of those shows where I'm like,
I'm good off that.
I feel like I've tried to get into it, and every time I'm just like I fall off. I'm just like, nah, I'm all right.
I feel you.
But
There's a lot of shows that are seasonal shows. You got to watch them week by week. You can't binge it. If you binge
no,
it kind of ruins the luster of what made the show special.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was in high school when I first played this game. Picked it up, used, of course. I wasn't buying any brand new shit. But there was a time, and I've mentioned this like for our Final Fantasy 12 episode, where there was just certain games where I felt like I couldn't believe how good it looked, you know, like as a kid, and I'd be playing the game, and I was very just enamored with the production value of it, you know,
Yes.
and how cinematic it was, like the cutscenes, the CG cutscenes, but also even the in-game ones and all this. I was like, this is a game I have to keep. This is like an expensive game, but I got it for like, I don't know, maybe $20 at the time or something. So it was one of those games where just like I'm in love with this presentation style. You could throw this game in there with other games like Kingdom Hearts 2, where I was just
That
like,
was the first thing I was
this,
going to say as well too. Kingdom Hearts 2 has that production value of always been, it's always made me go back to it like, wow. I
yeah.
can't skip a single cutscene in that game.
Yeah, it just feels like, it's like the production on it is through the roof. Like money is on the screen, and
Yeah.
as a kid I recognized that, and I knew that I had something special, especially when, looking at the box, you could see that, there was like Square Enix on the like your box.
Is your case glittery?
Yeah, like is it like foil or whatever, like not
Yeah, because
translucent.
my case is
Yeah.
glittery as fuck.
Oh wait, glittery?
Yeah, like the actual like box art, like is it like, does it glittery?
You don't mean like reflective and sort of like shiny, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I mean. Yes.
Yeah, because like glittery would be something. Yeah, no, it's like it looks like it's a
paper.
special edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just growing up, seeing those types of games from Square Enix, they were just special. It was something that I knew that was like a part of a larger franchise, because at that point when I was 13, 14, I wasn't I I hadn't been into Final Fantasy. I hadn't watched any of the, like I didn't watch, or I think I had watched it maybe after this game. Can't remember. Maybe a little bit before, so I knew a little bit about what was going on, but not really, because Advent Children doesn't really explain shit to you.
Yes, that's true.
And but I was just in that phase. Like Dissidia was kind of around that same time too, so like PSP titles and stuff, so very familiar with Final Fantasy, and I was like, this is something that I need to get into. So I don't want to say that this was like my first Final Fantasy game, because maybe it was. I don't fucking know, actually. But I was like, this is so dope, like just playing it. And
Yeah.
I played it back to back, I want to say within maybe that summer with Musashi. So like these two games,
These are the games that made me a JRPG channel.
yeah, a fake JRPG channel. Yeah, like these are the two games that really formed my taste, in a lot of things.
Ironic that both of these are not turn-based.
I know, right? It's really weird.
No coincidence.
But they have a lot of, kind of like RPG mechanics, I guess you could say. And I actually don't know where my love of turn-based stuff came from, but I remember it very young. There was a lot of like Game Boy games and stuff that were turn-based, and I always thought it was like really cool. But anyways, so yeah, that's sort of where I came into it. And I remember, actually, unlike Musashi Samurai Legend, I beat this game. Like I went through the whole thing. I couldn't remember the last story beats and maybe like the last section, but I remember beating this game. So it was like a huge nostalgic trip playing this game. And also it was hard to be as critical and analytical with this game as we are with other games, because this game is part of my gaming DNA. Like if you were to cut me open, a copy would come out, as well as like Shadow of the Colossus and some other things. Like
it's your No More Heroes, or
yeah.
You can understand the flaws, you can understand the nuance, but then you kind of throw a blind eye into it, like, but it's still good, bro.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying to you, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear what he says, because you are obviously coming into it years before this type of, or before, after, but also years before that kind of game was like even. I mean, Final Fantasy doesn't do shooters.
They
Like
haven't gone back. That's why I'm so
this
excited.
is a spin-off. Like how
It-
cool would it have been if like they had done. I know I know we've been talking about Final Fantasy 16 in the past couple episodes, but like the Final Fantasy 16 should have been something like this, I feel like.
Bro,
Like a
if they
spin-off.
made Final Fantasy 16 into a shooter,
No. I just mean like how spin-off, how how what is it, Strangers of Paradise?
yes,
So I feel like, and you made this point in I think maybe a couple podcasts ago, but yeah, it should have been like its own spin, like Dirge of Service isn't part of the main Final Fantasy like timeline, or like it's not Final Fantasy 8 or something. It's a
Yeah.
spin-off of 7. So I feel like just like Strangers of Paradise, they could have done Final Fantasy 16 and like done like a whole, what do you call it? Just like a spin-off and named it like Final Fantasy 16 Dirge of, I can't remember anything that happened in that.
Yeah,
But
I don't
you know what I mean.
iconic or something. Yeah. Iconic battles, adventures, or some shit.
Yeah, because it feels so different, right? It's like
Right.
it's not turn-based, it's not a classic Final Fantasy game, it's more off the beaten path. But anyways, let's get into our three-pillared thought table where we go over presentation, story, and gameplay. So I want you to go first. I want you to go first on everything. I want you to spill your guts
I
out
want me to spill
on
my
presentation. And
Oh,
then I
first?
will go after you.
You know, I got to keep the tradition. I can't switch it up. I switched it up last time with the gameplay, and I was going to switch it up and be like, let's start with gameplay for, but no, actually.
No? Okay.
let's
Okay.
let's get to the presentation because this game is beautiful. For a PlayStation 2 game, this game is gorgeous. I think the part that stuck out to me the most was in the very beginning, after watching the initial rising action that happened, well, inciting incident, I'm sorry, wrong term, that starts the entire plot, and Vincent's on the roof, and he turns around, and then the game cuts from cutscene to game. For a PlayStation 2 game, that is cool as shit. Like, they do that now. They didn't do
Yeah.
that during PlayStation
Yeah.
2 days. And I was like, okay, we're cooking with something special here. The tutorial that set the tone immediately. Everything about this game just oozes style. And I think that's what makes Final Fantasy, specifically Final Fantasy VII, so alluring. Even as like somebody that hasn't played all of Final Fantasy VII, I feel like I know Vincent. I feel like I know Yuffie and the gang, and seeing everybody, and just the CGI cutscenes that play like after every level, they're amazing. Could give a fuck about the story, but
Right.
but just
Yeah.
how everything looks, how the way your gun transforms and looks with every customization that you make. When you put the long barrel in the revolver and it becomes this long ass shit. It's so good, especially with Vincent's red ass cape just peeking through everything at all times, no matter where you are. I love it. I just had a smile on my face the whole time. I couldn't help it. It was such a fun game, and it just looked good.
You're playing on an LCD screen, right? On that screen in back of you there.
Yeah,
You're playing on
this,
that.
this screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time playing this on a CRT. Like, it looks so clean and sharp. Like, I've seen some like YouTube videos of other people playing it, and it's obviously on a 4K screen or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my god, this does not do the
It
game
doesn't do it
justice on how sharp, and just obviously it's 480p, but just the CRT really amplifies a lot of the look. And
I did,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. But
yeah,
there is a emulator I have that has a CRT filter, and it even
Okay.
does the warping of the like screen to like mimic a CRT. And I was doing that when I was playing through the Busta Groove series, and it does still look good even with that filter.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also on a 4K monitor, so it's still like, but
yeah.
I can
Do you-
see the appeal of a CRT with this kind of game.
As an aside, do you ever put CRT filters on okay, so like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge game has like a
Every
CRT
game.
filter.
Yeah.
So
Every
you
game that has
always
a
do it?
CRT filter or scan lines, I go, cool, I'll put it on. Fighting Rage, I put it on there.
Right,
Sonic
yeah.
Mania, I was like, yep, gotta put it on
Yeah.
there.
So just to piggyback off what you're saying, I feel like Vince's style is like it just leaps off the screen, and I feel like this is a real like a big strength of Tetsuya Nomura, where he just knows how to design video game characters. You know, I mean, you
Yes.
think about Musashi, um,
That's a striking design.
like yeah, it's so striking. You think about even Sora, like they're like they leap off of your screen the way they move. It's visually interesting. He knows how to design these characters with flowing elements. Uh, like the animation. I don't know if he's there when they're like animating. Like, how should this move? How should this character move? I don't know if I'm sure he's in those meetings when they try
Right.
to make those decisions. But it's timeless. Like some of the characters he creates. What's funny is that I think Cloud is almost his weakest in terms of how he looks on screen. Like because he doesn't really. He's just wearing like a uniform, so there's not really much to him, right?
Yeah. And everybody else
But
has their Advent Children look, and they look like even now, 20 years later, when we're getting the Final Fantasy VII remake, like Yuffie's design is the exact same design, but just
right
transplanted into the game. Even I think even the final villain is a boss in Final Fantasy VII remake. It's like a hidden boss.
is
Yeah.
wait the final villain in
And
Dirge
Dirge
of
of
Cerberus?
Cerberus. Yeah. He's a boss. He's like a hidden boss in the DLC.
What? Oh, the DLC. Oh
Oh
shit.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my fault. I didn't know you didn't. My
Oh
fault.
my fucking god.
My fault.
Let's just fucking cut it. Let's just.
And yeah, and it's the
Damn, that's
exact
cool.
same design, and it's 1-to-1, and it looks good. So
Yeah.
I that is a true show of the test of time that he has with his character designs.
Oh yeah. He very very talented. I think he gets a lot of hate for his um his writing duties on games like Kingdom Heart, but his character designs for sure are very intriguing and very inspired too. What did you think of the UI? So we'll talk about like the maybe the results screen, the customization screen, just the UI in general.
It's peak. It's peak. Goat
Uh,
raw. It's there's certain UIs in certain games to where as soon as you press start or the first time it pops up and goes now saving or
yeah.
like choose your difficulty, you just immediately know like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
I'm gonna like this UI. And it's very Kingdom Hearts esque in its UI to where you just even the sounds of it just moving down the frame, it's good. If it's responsive, it's not too overblown. There's not too much design. It's simple gradient. Here's the shit. Everything else is
Yeah.
cool. I like the result screen though. The result screen with the weird.
Things on the sides like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
we
know
gotta
what they
steal
were.
that
But I'm
for a
like,
season.
that's so funny because I was thinking, I'm like, well, I've been thinking about how you've been wanting to redesign Sunny Selects, and so I was thinking of that. I was like, that's a cool look. I wonder if we
It
can
is.
emulate that in some way. But
It's gonna take a minute, but we can figure it out.
but no, like there's or even obviously the look for Bendezzer Ponders. I think about like what I want that to look like. But no, it's yes, like the UI elements are very stylistic and very Square Enix, as you're saying. Like you can almost see a little bit of Kingdom Hearts, you can see a little bit of Final Fantasies, just legacy in there, like the text and stuff. Very simple, not overblown, snappy. The customization screen is funny because the gun is like it's on the upper right hand side, on the left hand side, and obviously we'll show this, you have all like your elements of the gun, so the barrel, like the stock,
The
the
scope.
materia, whatever, and at the bottom you have a couple graphs and stuff, which all this information is like super nerdy.
I don't
But,
know what the fuck
I
any
love
of it
it.
means.
Yeah, I'm like, what this like fucking, but when you spin the gun, it like clashes, like it's like too big almost for the
Oh
screen
yeah, it
that
like
it's in.
cuts out and shit.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, it looks a little rough, but what are you gonna do? But I mean, other than that, it's a fantastic looking UI, readable, super simple, and when you're in game too, like it shows you which gun, like which gun you need at the bottom and all this. It's just super readable. Let's talk a little bit about the other character designs that we see in the game. So we have a total of, it feels like about six or seven newish characters to the Final Fantasy VII. So we'll just talk about the characters that are main in this game and not other Final Fantasy VII characters. So you have the Sviets, right, which are the antagonists of the game. and I feel like they look like they're ripped straight from the Tron level in Kingdom Hearts 2. Did you get that feeling? I was like, wait a second, what the fuck? Like, why do
When
they
you
look like this?
when you said it, when we were like playing the game in the Discord, when you said it, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, if she did pop up in Kingdom Hearts, because even the way that the cutscenes are very Kingdom Hearts-esque in their design. And I was thinking about it, like, yeah, if she popped up in Kingdom Hearts in the Tron world, I probably wouldn't have batted an eye and been like, oh yeah, that's just she's from one of them Final Fantasies. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, this
Same
is
with the big guy. I forgot his name, but he could definitely be part of Organization 13.
the big guy from this. Yeah, so there's a Rosso. Um, there's hold on. You know what? Hold on. I have
There's
the fucking logo
Nero.
right here.
That's the deaf guy. Then I think it is Rosso, because then there's the girl. Or is Rosso the
Yeah.
girl?
No, yeah, Rosso's the girl. Azul and Shelk. Those are like the three.
Yeah.
Oh, and then obviously wait, is it Nero?
Yeah, I think it's Nero.
Someone's just yelling at the screen right now.
It's
Like,
not Nero.
It's not Nero. These niggas ain't no. But yeah, I like the designs. I mean, they, like I'm saying, they kind of look like they were straight out of a fucking Tron Kingdom Hearts level. But other than that,
They're cool as shit. Even though when they
yeah.
transform, even when they fight, like Shulk's little lightsaber sticks. I was like, that's so fucking cool. Why are they plugged in?
How practical is that though?
I'm saying.
For the size of them on the back of your thigh walking, I'm just like, that just feels like the most uncomfortable play. Yeah.
And then
I
even to
don't know.
use them and power them up, they gotta be like connected to a power source. You gotta like,
Yeah, which is
that's
very
so fucking
very
weird.
interesting, but very fun. I feel like that's sort of like that's the kind of imaginative stuff that I like to see, right? Something that feels inspired, even if it's not practical, it's visually appealing because you're
It's
like, oh, cool.
cool.
Like, you know who else is very visually appealing, but it doesn't make any sense? Is fucking the not Shelk, but Shalua, her fucking sister.
The robot arm,
the robot
cool
arm, and
eye.
her fucking her skirt, like it's like cut down the middle, like it's Fashion Week. It's like the Met Gala outfit. Like,
first thing she does is pulls
insane.
up and points a gun at you, and she's like, "Never mind, I got other things to do," and leaves. Like, she's just being cool. She's just like, what's the name of the dude from Final Fantasy X? Auron? Is that his name?
Yeah, Auron. Yeah,
I'm good at this. I play Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, Auron. Just very similar to him. Now that I think about it, so you get a little bit of Tetsuya Nomura DNA across games. But yeah, she looks super cool. Yuffie has a slightly different design, I think, than she does in the main game. But I want to say maybe not. I feel like she looks a little bit different.
Yeah, I think she has like the green top with the tan pants, and in this game it's like an orange bottoms with like a black or like tealish, like a dark blue shirt or something of the sort like that.
Yeah,
but to be fair, you never really see you ever see Yuffie as a joke, or you see her in the puffy jacket. You never really see her just doing stuff. So
in her like poncho, her like cloak, or whatever. Her Wutai star cloak or whatever.
Yeah, the biggest praise I could probably give the game as well will probably be the skyboxes. This is a weird one. I don't really look at skyboxes in games.
I don't even think I did.
There's a couple spots in vignettes, like specifically Sid's airship in the cockpit. There's mainly because I didn't know what the fuck to do in that part. But
yeah.
There was a lot of god rays, and just if you just do a slow pan, just looking out, it was incredible to look at. It looks almost next gen. It's like pushing like the peak of the PlayStation 2's power, and it just looks so good. Even like the Mako reactor, seeing certain parts. And I've played a little bit of Final Fantasy VII. Like when I first bought a PlayStation 2, I bought Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation, and I did get at least to Dr. Hojo's lab. Okay. I got to that particular point, and it's kind of cool to see that in 3D, like recreated 1-to-1 the exact layout in this game.
It's funny because the PS2 graphics feel almost like, I mean, they're peak PS2 graphics. You know, I mean, like people talk about graphics and they're like, oh, this PS4 game looks like a PS2 game, right? Or like a PS3 game having the worst, like, I mean, you know, like there was a PS3
Yeah.
look for sure, you know, but this was like peak PS2 pushing just the graphical fidelity. I mean, obviously up there with a game like Final Fantasy 12, and it just was so stylistic. It like wasn't super realistic, but it had this style and this like it operated at its most efficient within the limitations of the PS2 hardware. So it was like the best you could get on that. And there was like a
Yes.
lot of shit looking games on PS2, but like that's like that
This
was the
is
gold standard,
this is peak.
you know.
Like when
Yeah.
they in like 10, 15 years when they start making PS2 like indie games with PS2 graphics, this is the
Yeah.
game that I want them to mold that after. Keep
Oh,
doing
yeah.
Silent Hill for PS1, and then we're gonna do Kingdom Hearts Dirge of Cerberus for Final Fantasy 12 for PS2. Copy that.
Yeah, because it's definitely a style. And you did mention the environments earlier. There were some really cool environments, I will say. But I think that because of the type of game it was, which is, I mean, this game is a third-person shooter, there is sort of a... They need to allow room for your character to move in, Vince. He needs to be able to move freely in some of these spaces, especially turning and all this. And so I feel like there were a lot of environments that were
Dry.
a little dry, a little uninspired, or they were not very detailed, you know, because I guess you were just going to be moving through them pretty quickly. Like, if you notice, there are only barrels that are like, that's like the only set dressing. A barrel, a rock, maybe a bush or something.
Yeah, after the first mission in that like town and plaza and the festival that was going on, after that
Yeah.
it's just barrels.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like really nothing else. It's kind of interesting, but there are some like really stylistic environments too. Like Edge is I thought it was like super cool. Like there's something about the vibe of that place and like you going through some of like the houses and like that bar with that little kid. Even though like that town felt so vacant, and I was like, what's this little kid doing? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, why
Like
is it here? Was it weird to you that like every stage took place at night? Because I remember when I beat the game and I went to the extra missions, those stages take place during the day, and I remember it throwing me off like completely. Like it felt like developer roomy because I wasn't used to daytime.
There's definitely one daytime mission, and that's when you're being chased by all those like wolf dog things or whatever.
Nah, that takes place at night.
Really?
Yeah.
That whole level? I swear.
That whole level took place at
Wait,
night.
no. What about okay, hold up. What about the mission where you're on like the gun and you're shooting down all these like helicarrier type things are coming by and you have to like shoot them down? It's called Deep Ground Strikes Back. That mission is during the like afternoon.
Yes, mission 5. Yes, that was.
Yeah, so there was a lot of like cool levels, a lot of bland ones. So it was a little inconsistent. Or maybe like I did like the sewer level. That was cool. Being in the sewer as Vince. I do feel like a lot of the levels that you're in highlight how cool Vince looks in them. Like every color palette of each environment
compliments
somehow
his red.
Like complimented his red so much. Yeah. And it was just like, this like green sewer, this like these teal hallways, and this in like the deep ground under base, like it all complimented him.
Yeah, this cybernetic bluey military base, everything peaked on his like coat, especially because you're doing flips, the floaty ass jump.
It was good stuff. Good stuff for sure.
What do you think of the OST?
Yeah, no, the OST is for sure something that elevated it, and I think it's definitely one of the pillars of Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. I want to say its style, its music, and
it's gameplay. Let's go.
Shit, now I'm like, maybe that's it, just the style and music. I mean, its gameplay is fine, right? I don't know. It's not like the best, but I wouldn't say that's like the important thing. Like that's the great thing about it. But we'll
That's
talk
the
about
best
that.
thing about it.
So yeah, the music I thought was great. One of my favorite tracks ever is on there. It's called Trigger Situation. I'm a fan of Musashi's like more dramatic songs. Just because I am a band kid, so I sort of like, you know, orchestral pieces and stuff like that. But I also just love his other more electronic stuff that he does on there. I think the one piece that really stuck out to me was when you're sneaking around as Kate Sith, or as
Yeah, make sure you
everybody
get that name right.
It is Kate Sith. Yeah, but you're right about most songs fit. I think there was a couple that were a bit more generic, and I don't think it's Masashi. I don't think it's his best soundtrack for like a video game.
No,
like
I
I
must
think,
definitely agree on that.
I think like Final Fantasy 13 is good. Saga Frontier is good, but I mean it's not a bad soundtrack. But I don't know. Some did like were a little generic. But I do want to reiterate my favorite being Trigger Situation, because like Trigger Situation is the song in the beginning that opens up, like, you know, you put in the PS2 disc and that screen comes up and it says Square Enix, and then the CG cutscene, that song is Trigger Situation.
Oh, okay.
And
I didn't know which one.
yeah, so that whole song, you know, before that whole cutscene ends, that's Trigger Situation, and like it fits that whole
That is
sequence.
an elite song. That's an elite song.
So great. And yeah, that shit's fire. I love that song so much. I do think that the first half is it's really, really dramatic, but it fits like what's happening. But I do like, there's a little theme on the second half that I was like, maybe we should sample this, but it's a little hard. It's not an easy, it's not catchy, so to say. Like,
that's what else we have to do. We have to nominate our voter beat. We got to get that out the way too.
I listened to the soundtrack maybe 3 times, and I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do. There's like 4 of them where I'm like, this is kind of fire. This is kind of fire. This might be hard to do, but it'd be fun to try and see what we could do with it. Because there's ones that are easier, than other ones.
Yeah, there's some simple ones that you can just I can knock that out real quick.
Yeah, I could just loop that, just like that one song that you showed me. And I'm like, that's
Yeet
so
sample?
fucking easy. Yeah.
Just sample the beginning, put some 808s over the top, and to get the rapping, you'd be good.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's kind of boring though.
That's what I was saying. I was listening to it like, aww.
I feel like if you had never heard, I don't know, like it's definitely a vibe of a song, but like because I know where it's from, and I'm just like,
yeah, the original is better.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, absolutely.
It's funny. I only found out that Yeet sampled that song because that was the top comment on the song as I was listening to it, and I was like, "Damn, this is a really good song." Just re-listening to the OST, and the very first comment is, "Bro, Yeet just sampled this. Oh my god!" And I was like, "Yeet, hold on, I gotta hear this because I know he has like cowbells and shit on his songs." So I was like, "Oh my god, it's gonna go crazy. It's gonna be a lot of bongs," but it wasn't. It was just pretty chill. It was like pre-Yeet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it was very, I'm like, it's pretty by the numbers. It was like, let's just take a sample. Let's let the sample...
Yeet started drinking lean or something.
Or something, yeah, we don't know. Also, don't be mad, but I don't know who Yeet is, so I don't know.
That's okay. It's good that you don't know who Yeet is.
Cool.
Accept that fact.
Cool. Awesome. Feeling real old. I do want to give a shout out to a specific section towards the end. I want to say it's the last mission, or the mission before the last mission stage. I guess by mission we mean chapters, because it is a chapter that you're doing.
Or is it a dungeon?
So. It's a dungeon. It was the last dungeon. No, but there was like a corridor that had a bunch of bullet holes in it, and like sunlight was coming through it, creating like that, those god ray effects as you're walking through it. And I was like, what the fuck? This is so badass. And I think because you don't really do anything, and you're just walking through it, but it really felt like one of those moments that you would see in modern gaming where it's like, oh yeah, look at this graphical fidelity that you see. Like, look at this coolness, It felt like one of those moments.
One of those moments you would lean against the wall for like an arbitrary loading screen, and it would have the god rays going through it.
I feel like in Sony's games, like, like God of War, there's always a moment where maybe they walk outside and it's like,
And it just goes all
whoa,
white.
look at,
Yeah.
like look at all this whole, yeah, something like that.
Look at
But
our lighting, bro. We lighten up.
exactly, yeah. What's that game? Order 1886. I feel like really was obsessed with how it looked, so it would like do frame their characters in specific ways. It'd be like, look how gorgeous this is, so it's just like, all right, I get it, you're a good looking game.
I
Fuck.
get it. They
I
gave you
fucking
millions
get
of
it.
dollars.
Yeah. You know what's something that I thought about in terms of its presentation? I never realized that that Final Fantasy VII was like it's a cyberpunk sort of world.
Yes, it's a very
I
cyberpunk story. So
never
it's going to be
connected it.
gray. It's going to be silver. It's going to be bland. But
There's gonna be right.
I like it. I like cyberpunk. I love dystopian futures destroyed by AI and corporate companies. I love it.
You want to live in a future that's cyberpunk.
I want to live in a future where corporate companies destroy my life daily. I have all praises for presentation. There was nothing that really like. The only thing that irked me, but it was so minor that like I said, like when you customize a gun in the screen, it looks so cool when you customize it. But then when you see it in the game, it's not the same as it looks in the menu, which is weird because they have that model. It's right there. Just
right.
Give it to me. But they don't.
But like it doesn't look as sharp, you're saying? Or like what?
No, it's completely different.
Is it?
Like, for example,
okay,
I never equipped the one that's a cross. I think it's power boost, not the power booster. Material. One of those ones, and the cross was always on my gun, and I'm like, I don't have this shit equipped. What the fuck?
That was the same thing I was saying, where I was like, what the fuck is this fucking Gungrave ass like
cross
keychain giant thing on my? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think just every power, like not every power, but every like material that you got, I think they just added it to the guns naturally, even if you didn't equip it, just to be like, yeah, you have it. Because I noticed like even I had the sniper scope on my like revolver, and I never had the sniper scope on it. I was like, why is this on here? But
well, there aren't that many Dirge of Cerberus fans, unfortunately.
Dirge of Cerberus has one fan, then I'm not live. Wait. What's the I don't know how it goes.
So you actually wrote something interesting too about the game being dark. Tell me about that.
See, I don't know if this was because when I play my games, I normally sit right there, and I had it up on this screen right here, but then I also have it up on this screen over here, and I'll have it like full screen, just so I can like monitor it to make sure de-interlacing.
Oh, I see. Right.
Screen
because you're recording your gameplay and stuff. Too,
yeah,
right?
And I'm looking at my TV, and I'm like, damn, it's dark as fuck. And then I look over at my computer, and I'm like, wait, I can see on here. And I kept looking back and forth like, what the fuck? And then I turned the brightness all the way up, and then I'm like, shit, it's too bright on the recording. I got to turn it down. I don't know if this is a me thing. It might be me on a big TV with the retro tink, or
yeah,
I don't know. So that's why I never mentioned it, because I was like, maybe it's me. But this game was dark as fuck. Other than his red ass cape, there were some moments where I was like, what am I staring at? I'm like staring into darkness right now.
I think I also messed with the light, the brightness in game, and then I did have a problem. But I also was playing on CRT, so I don't know how much that affects all the colors and all this. It's so funny what you notice and what I don't in games, and vice versa. Like the different experiences we have. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about?
When did you see that shit?
Yeah. All right, let's move into story, since we don't have much else to say about presentation. Beautiful game, greatly designed in terms of its art direction. I don't have any fucking... Oh, you know what? Let me add something about the cutscenes, because it's going into the story a little bit. What?
I thought you were going to say what I was about to say. That's what made me laugh. I was going to be like, you owe me a soda, but that... You say
what did you think I was gonna say?
That you don't give a shit about the story. Like, I don't give two shits about this story. I guess because I didn't
uh,
understand it, but yeah, continue your point. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, just that some of the cutscenes, I mean, they were well directed. I There was the one at the end, so we're getting into spoilers now. Obvious, if it wasn't obvious that we were going to spoil the game, um, where it's sort of doing like a exposition dump on the background of Lucrezia and Vincent and all this, and it's like just showing words, like the words are like flashing on the screen, and
Yes,
then
I know this cutscene.
it's like subtitled, I guess, but it's like she's saying the words and it's like her whatever text. And there's so many. I was like, "What is this?
There's a
This
lot
is,"
of
and
moments
then
I
like,
was sitting there like,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, really, very like anime like corniness. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And it didn't help that it assumed that you played Final Fantasy VII and were like a super fan of it.
Yeah.
Because I was playing the game, I was like, who is this? What's going on? Obviously, I assume that Cloud of the gang at the end of Final Fantasy VII are going to save the day. You know what I
Okay.
mean? But there's certain characters that me, because I've only played the remake, and yeah, that's it, the remake. So I don't know the miscellaneous character. I don't want to say miscellaneous like Lucretia or Dr. Hojo, stuff like that. Like, I don't know these characters extensively. I don't know their full character arcs in the
Mm.
base game. Like Kate Sif, I don't know him. All I know about him now is that he's the cat that ran up at the end of Final Fantasy VII and was like, "Oh no!" Like, I don't know nothing.
Right. Yeah. That's funny that you say that because if you fucking had just read the booklet inside the
I
case,
did read the booklet, and it spoiled the whole Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, okay, that cool. I understand the backstory, but like, I already kind of knew that from like minutia of just Final Fantasy VII being one of the most popular games of all time. Like, I just
yeah.
know a lot of story beats about that game without having to play the game. You know?
Yeah, I can't say, you know what, Final Fantasy VII, story wise has some interesting concepts that never really spoke to me. Like people love the story of Final Fantasy VII. Maybe they just like the characters, but there's some ideas and themes and mechanics where I'm just like, I don't really get how this works. And a lot of that carries into Dirge of Cerberus, and they, I don't know what they're doing. I'm just, what do you like? What
I
is
think
going
the
on? Like
confusion
what?
for me comes soon as they start talking about live streams. I start going
Yeah,
like, huh?
that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like they assume, well, for one, I feel like they think it's more interesting than it is, but like Lucrezia apparently is doing some research, and for whatever reason she's doing this research, and it's just like not interesting, and then she involves Vincent, and then
Do you
Vincent's
mind a
dad
spoiler?
dies. What?
Do you mind a spoiler
For what? For this game?
for seven? Because I spoiled myself googling to be like, why the fuck is Lucretia so important?
Oh yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I read that and I was like, oh, this is why this makes a lot more. Why there's sights in her, but I mean,
But even still, it just doesn't carry you enough weight.
yeah,
I really think that the story, personally, I think the story was at its strongest when it focused on characters that were newer, like Shalua and her sister. Not her sister by herself, but I do like that Shalua had like this guilt for what happened to her, and like I really like that scene where she like sacrifices herself to let her and Vincent be, or I think escape Azul. I think he's like after them. There's a scene
yes,
where she's holding on to the fucking
the,
door or whatever, and it just like
yeah.
shuts on her arm. I was like, that was so sick. Great character moment. But also, I think it would have been a great chance to pair up Vincent, because I don't think he's that interesting on his own, or at least they just didn't do it right. But pair him up with Yuffie more consistently. Like there should have been like a more Batman Robin sort of like, he's super serious, she's super like, jokey,
And that's kind of
and
how they set it up at the beginning. That's what you think that the story is going to be like. You're going to be like, oh, Yuffie's going to be my little ninja sidekick person, and I'll probably play one stage with Yuffie or something like.
Yeah, it could have been multiple stages. I think that would have been badass. Like
But
I don't know
instead, we
why
get
they
two
went.
Kate Sith stages.
Wait, two? I thought there was only one.
Was there one or was it two? Yeah, there was two. Wait. One. There was
I,
one.
s-
I'm
I s-
sorry.
there was one, and
I'm
it was
sorry.
so bizarre to me that you played as him, and he's like not important at all. Like
Just
I
pulled
guess
up.
in the grand scheme of the story, he kind of finds out like like certain things, but that could have been Yuffie. You could have just like there could have been some Yuffie stages where you played more stealthily or something. That would have been actually a good change of pace, maybe. But I don't know. Other than that, I just do. Yeah, the game just assumes that you really are into the lore of Final Fantasy VII, but and I don't know if you're aware of this, but I feel like a lot of this stuff is so loosely tied to Final Fantasy VII. Like it could have really stood on its own. Like Deep Ground, they
Yes.
like tied them to Shinra, but they didn't need to be tied.
And it wasn't really
Hojo did it.
expanded on. It was just kind of there. It was just like, yeah, Shinra made these people. I guess we remember.
Yeah, they're like the
Shinra?
remnants of shrimp. Yeah, it's like okay, I guess they could have they could have literally been anybody, and then
Yeah.
the same with Hojo.
Wait a minute.
Uh,
Isn't this the
what?
exact plot of Advent Children? That Shinra just made some niggas, and then they just come and just fight the main cast, and then try to blow up the world, and they fight the
I
main
think-
cast, and then they win. Isn't that the exact plot of Advent Children?
Well, I think Advent Children takes place before this game, but yeah, you're kind of right. To be honest, I never understood the plot of Advent Children.
Me neither. I just know
Like,
three
I don't
white dudes
fucking know
pulled
what-
up, and
Right, yeah, like, I'm like-
up and started fighting people. I was like, cool.
They're like Sephiroth clones or part of him or something, and it's just like, nigga, what the like?
Fun fact:
I
one of
don't
the
know,
first
this is
bootlegs
weird.
I've ever gotten in my life
What
was Advent
was
Children.
the Advent?
There was a kung fu
That-
man in the middle of the mall, and he used to sell bootleg DVDs and animes of kung fu movies. And my dad one day, just right after my parents got divorced, he was like, "Let's buy some fucking kung fu
Damn.
movies." And I was like, "All right, let me get this Advent Children and this Naruto movie."
Yeah,
And I still was like, I don't know what happened, but that fight with Tifa was cool.
the fight with Tifa is fucking badass.
Yeah,
It's really cool. I remember, especially with the music playing, like doing a piano piece over combat is so. I'm like, that needs to happen more. I'm sick of this like rock music, these classic like hits playing over like a really cool badass scene. Give me like a classical music, like that was badass, dude. Tell me that wasn't like the most like the classiest shit, and then that's a great piece. Like just listen to that piece on your own. Like that's a
gotta
good
rewatch
piece
that.
to sample. Like it's such a powerful piece. You're gonna rewatch it right now?
No.
That's, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll wait. I was like, oh shit, all right, I guess I'll just sit here. Can we watch it together at least?
But in all seriousness, if I hear Shulk open her mouth one more time, I might kill her. Like, I might jump into the game on some cool tune shit and like strangle her, bro. I hated her voice actress. I probably should have said this in presentation, but it was so brain dead. She talked like this, and Deep
Yeah.
Ground and the Civius are going to take over the world. I'd be like, bruh, shut up. I hated it when she spoke because she explained a lot of the plot and like what was going on, and she was the driving force of it, and it kind of made it drag along. And I honestly didn't expect the amount of cutscenes that we were getting for this stupid cool shoot game.
For Final Fantasy VII, you didn't or for a Final Fantasy game, you didn't expect this many cutscenes.
To be fair, now I know every Final Fantasy is just going to be cutscened up. But at
Yeah.
the time, I didn't know. But now I know. This game made me realize, okay, all of them are going to be like this.
Yeah,
Was 12
that's a
like
good
this?
point. I think it was frustrating for me story wise because there are so many cutscenes, and while they look great, I'm just like, you guys are saying a lot, but no one's rapping like, no one's giving me like a like clarity on what the fuck is happening. Like no
Yes.
one's like, oh, okay, like this is why this is happening. Like they didn't. I know it's bad writing sometimes to have
The main
someone
base
just
got attacked
exposit.
twice.
But like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, why are they doing like? It's just like, and maybe because the concepts are too like obscure. Like, the fact that there's like these ancient gods, and one it lives within Vince, and because of the experiments that Lucrezia did, and the proto materia was like needed to be extracted from him. I'm like, what the fuck is proto materia for?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I
That's what
don't
I was
like
saying.
what I
Like,
don't
I feel like,
understand what.
yeah, like I felt like it wanted me, like me not knowing the full depths of the lore of Final Fantasy VII hindered me in my comprehension of the story. And it doesn't help that it would be a 10-minute cutscene, fade out into a 15-minute cutscene,
Yeah.
fade out into a 3-minute cutscene, fade
Yeah.
out into a cutscene just to establish where Vincent is to start the
Yeah.
gameplay. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. You would just be sitting there after the mission, like, wow, that was a cool mission. Okay, I'm ready for the next one.
I was still intrigued to some point, but there was I think at the midway point, I want to say, where I definitely just checked out. I was like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This is so
That sounds
hard
about
to
accurate.
follow along.
Once I
I
got
think,
to Sid's airship, that's also where I checked
yeah,
out.
I think that's about where I was like, okay, I have no clue what's going on, but all right. What I did like doing was talking to the individual people and like hearing their, and it was fully voiced. Like all their, like if you go around the airship, or
Oh
there's
yes.
this
And they
there's
have a
some other
couple
parts
lines
too.
too.
Yeah, they do. And there's I think a level or two where you kind of go around and you can like talk to some of the soldiers. But I feel like they gave a lot of characterization to like the world, which is good world building. But yeah, the story itself, and Vincent, I'm really like, just, you're not that interesting, dude. Like, you could be, but they just don't push it far enough. They
He's 90s anime cool.
But like, he's Cloud essentially, with his like quiet, like, I'm just
Brooding
like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm just like, I don't know, you're kind of too similar to Cloud, like a
I've always
tragic
equated him
hero.
to I've always equated him to like a Trigun, but early Berserk. Like how there's like a trope in like animes to where like Yuffie will kind of fit that purpose of
Yeah.
angered, troubled, deep past
Mhm.
demon guy with his
Yeah.
funny little sidekick that follows him while he goes and fights monster of the week.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the game treats it, even though it's like a full overarching plot, but it feels that way where it's just like, yeah, it's just Vincent being cool Vincent, not gonna know
Yeah.
anything about his past till the end of the show.
Dude, I swear he has maybe, let's see, it's a 12 14-hour game roughly. He has maybe I don't know, like 15 pieces of dialogue.
That's
Like,
being generous.
like, he does not talk very much, and I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, why? So then, why center the game around this character? What am I supposed to care about?
Because he's
exactly?
cool. He's
That's
a
true, but
cool
like,
dude.
give Yuffie, like, he needs someone to bounce off of, and every time they put him with someone, he doesn't, like, it's not consistent. Like, there should have been. I mean, sure, like, you don't want to. You can Last of Us it and just have Yuffie be with you the whole time. You
Yeah.
know?
I think that's probably where the game would have felt better, as if it was just Vincent and then Yuffie, because it kind of puts them on the backside, because you have the WFO and then you have the Deep Ground organization, and you have these two warring factions going on, and you even have like, you see the ground troops on both sides, so it kind of makes you feel like, okay, I'm just a soldier technically, for real. No
Right,
pun
right,
intended on that.
right.
Yeah, you don't really feel like, even when you get to the end point, I felt like it was rushed. I didn't really feel like, oh, this is some end of the world type shit. I needed to help out doing this. It just came, and you do that one boss fight against Nero, and then you're like, oh, okay, we're fighting the final boss now. Okay, cool. I didn't know.
Right.
I don't know. The pacing of it all was very all over the place.
I could agree with that, and it's not helped by the long cutscenes and being confused, and you're like, wait, what's going on? What am I doing now? What is this? Well, I guess, all right, fine. Like, honestly, for the longest time, even though I had played the game, I don't know why I thought you would be able to go. So you know how you can transform into his, I don't know, his fucking beast
Werewolf?
mode, whatever the fuck it
I
is.
don't
Yeah,
know.
he can transform into this thing, right? And that's I think it can do that in the original Final Fantasy VII. And in this, I don't know why I thought like you would be able to play more as that like, you know, Super Saiyan version of that thing. Like
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna do that. Like I thought you were gonna like evolve or something, and you don't until the very end, and it's kind of like too late. You're like, all right, well, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah. I do want to just highlight and really just shout out that scene where Shalua sacrifices herself for Vince and her sister. Uh, and it really made me think that Shalua should have been like a bigger presence, in the game, because she finally like she gets introduced and you kind of get like she's kind of like rude, and she has a lot on her mind, but she's vocal about it. She's headstrong but steadfast, and then she just fucking sacrifices herself maybe like the next chapter, and I was like,
it's
wait, what?
like on mission 4 out of 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Like it's
I was
like
I don't
okay,
understand. That was yeah. And there's not many other characters to really like latch onto. There's not like that might be the problem, is that there's just not characters to really latch onto. While Vince looks cool,
you can't
it's
latch
hard to
onto him.
root for him. Yeah, you're not really like rooting for him. I don't even know what he's
I don't even know his
like.
deal.
Like, are you sad or are
Are you sick? Are you hurt?
like are you sick?
What's up with your arm? Like,
Yeah, like I don't. Are you funny? Why are you quiet all the time? What's going on in your head? Like, give us. Like, he's constantly brooding in that cave, right, with like the frozen Lucrezia,
yeah,
and I'm just like, what? Where are you? What is this? Why do you hang out here?
what does it all mean?
Yeah, like, are you confused about what happened to you? Are you like, what's your deal? And we never really fully get on like what. I don't know. I did like younger version of him, because
Yeah,
he
that was pretty cool.
like you definitely just get a better sense of like his eagerness, and he's still wet behind the ears, and he's just trying. I think he's like a bodyguard or something, right? Or something. I can't remember.
I think he was with the Turks.
Right. Okay, yeah, he's with the Turks, yeah. So I don't know, seeing like maybe half the game should have been him as a Turk, and you kind of like learning
The
that,
ropes,
like,
and then the other half of
should have been
just
him
being,
as
with Shalua. Yeah, because even
something
the
like that.
tutorial kind of sets it up where you're playing as Turk Vincent. I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do this. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay with this, and that's it. It was just for the tutorial.
Yeah. No, I don't think we needed like a whole grand end of the world, a second or third end of the world story for Final Fantasy VII. It's like, nah, that's okay. Just give me something more personal. And they could have, but yeah, they didn't.
But we didn't.
What did you like Yuffie's acting though?
Fuck no.
It reminded me of the hey guys.
It was literally that. It was literally that.
Oh my
it was
God.
one on the airship. I had to talk to her because I didn't know what the fuck to do. So I talked to her like 5 times, and she's like,
and she's
every
like
time
sick,
throwing
right?
up, and she's like, oh man, back at Wu time, my dad's a real good fighter, and I'm like, okay, but you're throwing up. Like, are you good? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I loved her though. I loved her. She was charming to me, but yeah, very much that anime like she was so goofy. It's like what's that one? There's a scene that was so, in and of itself, it wasn't a bad scene, but because everything else was so serious, and it had been so serious for so long, she was like standing on. It's towards the end, and I think.
Oh yeah, when like you just went through that gauntlet of bullshit and fighting, and you kill people like actual bosses, and then she just pops up like, "Hi, I'm Yuffie. I'm here to save the day," and you're like, "All right."
And then she slips. She falls like a fucking. There might as well have been like a banana peel sound.
I think there was a banana peel sound, like a whoop.
I was like, I was like, oh my God, this in and of itself, it's not bad. Like, but because it's just a tonal shift, they needed to have her more, so that way I don't know. It was just like weird for me. I was like, that's so anime. I remember I was trying to get one of my friends into Full Metal Alchemist, and Full Metal Alchemist is serious, right? But anime has this thing where they fucking just throw in weird short jokes to undercut shit. Like
Yeah, one of my biggest
almost
pet peeves with anime is when they have the yelling, arguing matches real quick to like establish that like, oh, they're rivals, so they argue a lot, or they're the love
yeah.
interest, so they argue a lot. Like that shit
Yeah.
blows me. I'm like, bro, like people don't do that in real life. Like, stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that in anime, and I remember my friend, like after I told him maybe to watch like the first 10 episodes, and he was like, "Yeah, me and my girl couldn't do it. Like she didn't like that they would be like talking, and then it'd get like it would switch to a different art style almost, and then do like a joke, and then
Oh
switch
yeah,
back." And I
yeah,
was like, "Yeah, that's pretty anime. Like it's not unique to
yeah.
that show, but if you don't like that, you're not gonna like anything else." Let me
Even
tell
Teen
you that.
Titans does that because I have been rewatching Teen
Yeah,
Titans. Even Teen Titans does that. It'll switch up the whole art style to chibi or like
yeah.
super serious. Sometimes it all depends on the situation, but it works.
But it's yeah, it works in Teen Titans. It's definitely more consistent. I think it's just different in anime. But anyways, what'd you think about the gameplay? Or
Elite.
actually, hold on, hold on. Let's go back to story real quick. Hold on. What did you think about? And you probably didn't think about it because you just didn't care. Because neither did I. What do you think about Hojo being obscured in darkness in the cutscenes for so long, and then he's revealed at the end, as if like it's supposed to blow your mind? Do you?
Bro, like
I'm
I
like,
called that shit at the very beginning. I was like, "Oh, that's Hojo. He's not dead. He's going to be here, and he's going to be the final antagonist or some shit." Because I was like, "Why would they
yeah,
showcase Hojo at the beginning? And who the fuck is Weiss?" And even then, when they showed him, I was like,
yeah, yeah. They definitely. I don't know if they were like, oh, it's gonna be a surprise, but there were so many cutscenes where it's clearly him. He's like shrouded in darkness, like supposed to be a mist. Like he sounds like the character.
"You've
Why?
been
Why
showing
are you guys?
flashbacks of him being an asshole to Vincent and Lucretia. Why would he
Yeah,
not be the final antagonist?"
super weird. I don't know. Oh, but anyways, yeah. Let's go on to gameplay. Just wanted to add that.
Elite, peak, raw.
Shut the fuck up. You're not serious right now.
I'm being
Are you?
dead ass.
Are you? Shut the fuck
The
up. Seriously?
gameplay is fire, bro.
Okay.
I fuck with it. Once I like,
Get.
okay, I had to buy some new controllers, so I got me some new knockoffs. You feel me?
Okay.
And once I got some new controllers, 'cause when I first started playing, when we first started this, that's when I learned. I was like, I think there's something wrong with my controllers, and this dates all the way back to like Musashi, so I might have to replay Musashi to
Mhm.
see if like, because the lava level of Musashi, I remember having a very difficult time with that, and I think it was because of my controller. My controller was all fucked up.
Mhm.
Got new controllers. This game opened up to me like a can of like a fresh pair of legs. It was so beautiful. It was like that's a weird
Interesting.
ass analogy.
Like a opened up to you like a fresh pair of legs.
Crab legs.
Um.
Fucking upgrading the guns was fun as hell. Shooting the things with the lock on was fun as hell. Doing the little jump Superman, meaning not Superman, Batman glide was fucking fun.
Mhm.
Even melee wasn't fun, but everything was fun. I like the arcadiness. I like games that know they're a game, even if the story doesn't
It's super
try to
serious.
treat, yeah, like having the little pickups on the ground and shit like that. Like it that's cool. I rock with it.
Right.
Every
Right.
and especially because once I started playing the game on EX hard mode, which is essentially New Game Plus,
Mhm.
that's when the game really opened up a lot more to me where I was like, oh, because there's a lot more enemies, they hit harder. I have to actually dodge. I was like, wow, this is actually a very competent shooting game. This is interesting.
Uh-huh.
You didn't like it?
Oh, I thought you had more to say.
Oh no.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
You were looking at me like I
I'm
ain't fucking
surprised how much you liked it. I do like it for the same reasons you do, but I just don't think overall it's great. I think it shows a lot of cracks, especially when there's too many enemies, and when it becomes like untactical and you're just like strafing, like, and Vincent looks terrible while strafing too. Like
Yeah.
the tracking on his body,
His
like his
dodge
legs
is
are moving.
weird. How he does like this slide.
Yeah, the dodge doesn't feel like it's effective at all, and it makes it feel a little bit clunky at times. I think the reticle being as giant as it is so ugly. So it makes everything feels a little imprecise, but it's I guess good enough, and it is very arcadey in that sense. Like you're saying, I do like the result screen. I think that was like a really fun just ode to old video games, especially like it's very PS2 to have like a result screen and a grading system, and you're just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I got an A or I got an S or whatever on this and that.
Even the
Uh,
submissions are very video gamey, where it's like save 5 civilians, help
right,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt like that part was, I guess that was a highlight, is what I would say. But yeah, it definitely gets a little. I feel like it doesn't get good until the last maybe third of the game, where your guns are more unique and you have more options, and they're also starting to get more powerful. So you kind of notice a difference between them. Because for a little bit, you don't really notice that they don't feel too different, except maybe the rate of fire. Like you have one that shoots fast, one that shoots slower. Like you don't really notice that much of a difference. But
I would
it
have to
would be
disagree
interesting.
with you on that one.
You don't notice, or like you notice the difference from the beginning?
Yes. But to be fair, I had fun kind of breaking this game. I immediately was every time at the end of the levels. This is also a really cool mechanic that they had at the end of levels. You got after you got graded, they would give you gil,
Yeah.
or they would give you exp, and then you can exchange that exp and convert it into more money to use
Yeah.
to upgrade your guns. And I just did that, and I maxed out the pistol on like mission 3 or 4.
Oh,
So
that makes sense. Oh,
yeah,
that's sort of what I'm saying. Where I think maybe most players in the third act might have most of their guns more maxed out. I didn't max out anything until that third act, or yeah, right,
oh
which
yeah,
would be like chapter 8, roughly. I would say, because that'd be like there's 12. But for you, if you funneled all your money into one thing and got that maxed out and like felt like the power and like the difference, then yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I don't know, like it's not bad. It's not a bad system. It was fun experimenting. It makes you want to play the game multiple times because I could see the potential for the very different powerful weapons that you would have. And like you were describing, you can choose whether you have exp or gil at the end of the level. You can exchange essentially all the experience that you earned for gil, um which that's kind of a cool choice. I really did like that.
I
Like,
loved
and
it.
you can get a lot of money, and I don't understand, like, if your level felt after you got to like level 15, I feel like you didn't really need to get any higher than that to beat
I
the
never
game.
really
But
felt the difference with like level.
that
Even in EX hard, I've done the same thing. I've just put it
oh
all
really?
straight to Gil. I haven't put it in the EXP, and it feels the same to me.
Right.
Still
Wow, that
killing
makes
shit in one
sense.
hit.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was, I don't know, yeah, there's something about it. I was like, this is almost there for me, but just not quite.
It was the camera for you, wasn't it? Like trying to transition from, because it controlled when you aren't aiming, control like a normal third
Right, like a
person
character.
action game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then as soon as you
Yeah.
aim, it kind of locks everything, and then the
Yeah.
camera gets very stiff. I can
Yeah.
understand why you could, especially because there's a lot of times I even forget to turn off. I've learned like towards the end and even playing in EX hard mode, like, oh, I'm supposed to turn off the aiming when I'm not aiming.
Right, yeah, press circle to like kind of holster your weapon, which
Yeah.
I like that aspect a lot, but I think it works well as a kind of arcade shooter, and I think it plays that up to some extent. But one thing I was sort of thinking about is that it never actually makes you feel like Vince in the cutscenes. Like Vince is doing all these cool dodges, all these cool like trick shots, and you
Blowing up
never,
rockets in 2 hits.
yeah, you could, I mean, Devil May Cry existed at this time. You could have easily pulled some of those stylistic jumps and moves, because everything, like the minute he pulled out his gun, it felt like you were just playing as a tank with like, I mean, even his jumping was slow, and I mean, you could shoot in the air and like lock like, I don't know. It was just kind of, you didn't feel like Vince, right?
I
You
feel
just
you.
didn't.
There's a big stiffness that he has compared to how
Yeah,
he moves. He's very agile, and they try to appease that. That's why I feel like the dodge was awkward because they try to appease to that like he's
yeah.
swift, but he doesn't feel swift.
Nah, he doesn't
There's
feel
not a
swift
back
at all.
roll that you can do. You can't do a back dive and shoot or a front dive or
Yeah,
nothing like that. You just
you can't like. There's like a backwards animation, a backwards jump animation where he's kind of like upside down, but I'm like, you can't really shoot like that. You
yeah.
can't really do anything cool. And in the cuts, this is actually funny because for a while I remember thinking a lot in video games that you would see cool shit in cutscenes, and then you would go to be the character in the game, and then you just couldn't do any of that cool stuff. It was always clunky, and it wasn't until like the maybe PS4 era where it's like you like okay, so all the stuff that Cloud can do in Advent Children, it's like you are doing actively in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That's true. Yeah.
Like you're doing, and it's all like in-game cutscenes, and like you are part of the action. But like for a while, all the cool shit the characters would do was not in the actual gameplay until maybe I don't know. I feel like Arkham Asylum or until like the
God
PS3
of War.
generation.
God of War, I think after
Yeah,
two,
yeah,
I think that's what really set it off for everybody to be like, okay, even if we can't let the player do it, let's just make them press square.
right. With the cutscene, yeah, the QuickTime events, QTEs.
Yeah.
So I think this game suffers from that, where it's like you're such a cool character, and maybe it would have elevated the game more to be able to move. Like, I mean, just think of Arkham Asylum, right? Again, an unfair comparison because this is on a more powerful, on a more powerful console, but you feel like Batman. As heavy and slow as Batman is, and he's moving around, like you feel like the Dark Knight. In this, it's just, and I
You
mean, if you
feel
think
like
about,
if you if you grayed out Vincent and took away his design and put him back to like the gray man and changed the design, you wouldn't feel any difference.
yeah, if you gave him like a military uniform, you wouldn't even blink an eye as to who this was. You'd be like, yeah, that's those are the movements of a fucking slow, awkward, like military man. Except for maybe the jumps because they're more stylistic looking.
Yeah.
But
there is
yeah.
one interesting design thing that I learned during development, that initially when they first were coming up with the concept of this game, that Barrett was in the running to be the person. And it's made me think a lot about like why he's always just walking around like this all the time.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
It properly fits Barrett. Like if you just swap the skin to Barrett, it will probably minus the jump.
Yeah, because Barrett's a big guy.
Yeah, you would probably have the exact same game.
Yeah, I think that's what's funny is that when he has his gun holstered, he moves like perfectly fine. Like it feels a lot better when he has his gun holstered because his feet are moving, at a decent pace. But the minute that you are strafing and like you see like it breaks the speed of his strut and the speed at which you're moving the camera, and I'm like, this looks so awkward. Like this is just not, it's not it. And I was watching someone play it, and I'm just like, yeah, it looks even worse the way other people were playing it, because some people would not take his gun down and would just run around with a reticle.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh,
if you're going to do that,
so
you might as well just
clunky.
zoom in and play it in first person at that point.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, at that point, just play it in like fucking weird ass first person mode. Honestly, they should have a gun. They should have had like a gun attachment to go with it. Because you could play with mouse and keyboard, but they should have like a get your fucking Dirge of
Dirge gun controller.
Gun con, that'd be sick.
It would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I like the way that it kind of felt like a light gun game.
Yeah, it does.
You just go through each arena, you shoot up the guys, get your little power ups. Oh, there's some materia over here. And then shoot some stuff up. And I like that the game wasn't difficult. I like that you could just really just shoot your way through
sneak your way through.
Yeah, I like the way that you could just turn your brain off and just like a Muso. Just I'm just pressing the button.
Gotta
I'm just
mention it
shooting.
every episode.
I'm just
We gotta,
shooting.
yeah.
But unlike a Muso, the melee in this game is ass. I hated the melee in this game. And towards the end, there's a specific enemy type that can only be damaged by melee. And it slows down the game to like a snail's pace because one, trying to figure out, oh, I have to melee them. And then having to go over and melee them. And they're very annoying. They hit you back. They stun you. It's gross. I hate it.
What enemy was that? I kind of remember.
Like towards the end, like it was a couple of the military dudes. And they had like these like I think they were casting reflect, I want to say, on themselves. So if you shot them, they would reflect the bullets back. So you had to run up and punch them in order to get past their shields. Like that was the only way to kill them.
Okay, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the melee was definitely disincentivized. It's like every time you use it, you're just like, oh yeah, I do not want to use this.
I almost said devil trigger. I would be like, even when you use your devil trigger, even when you use your limit breaker, it still feels gross as shit. Like because it makes you have to use like melee when you're in your limit break form. I mean, you have like a little fireball that you can throw, but you're fast, you're swift, and it still doesn't feel good because you're still using the normal shooting camera. You're not like, so it doesn't feel good. You can't zip around like a Devil May Cry in trickster form. You got to run up to somebody shooting at you and hit them.
Honestly, this would have benefited from just being a Devil May Cry clone. I think it makes sense for Vince. I mean, he doesn't have like a sword, but he has like the gauntlet hand. I don't like.
Yeah, he can claw them and like kick them and stuff.
You know what this game really. Okay, so think of Vanquish, right? I feel like this game could just think of Vanquish, but put this skin, put the Dirge of Cerberus skin on it.
It wouldn't work.
Why?
It wouldn't work. It's too fast paced. It wouldn't work.
This you don't think this could be fast paced?
No, I don't think.
Just think of it just think of it rebuilt, slightly shorter game, different areas.
No,
really.
I thought about this a lot with this because because I know that they're going to remake Dirge as the DLC after they make the final part. They're going to make a final part, then they're going to make an Advent Children DLC.
And then
they're going to make a Dirge of Cerberus DLC.
Where are you getting these ideas?
I don't know, man. If I'm big brained Square Enix, that's what I'm doing. I'm dropping 2 DLCs. Y'all gotta get them. And then you repackage the all game into a triple package collector's edition.
An Advent Children DLC? What do you mean? Like just
Yeah, you just retell the story of Advent Children, except all the fights are actual fights. And you use the you use the characters. And then Dirge of Cerberus, they'll just remake it with modern sensibilities. And
because I mean, Barrett is like, I like the way Barrett plays in Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I could see like a Sid character, shooting in the way that he does and all that.
Yeah. I don't know. I having big brain moves. I was thinking about it. I was like, wait, this is the epilogue of Final Fantasy VII. They could do this. They could do it.
Yeah. Well, I think they're doing something with the timeline too in Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're sort of like they're integrating a lot of other things. Like Zack is a lot.
No
like
pun
they're
intended.
doing like kind of integrate. They're doing a lot of interesting things with the timeline. So it's not unlikely, but
and it makes all the more reason why they would have a Dirge, because after all the timeline shenanigans, some other shit happens after they try to fix all the timeline shenanigans.
Yeah.
And Vincent Valentine has to save the day.
Maybe.
Hear me out. Listen, we're gonna timestamp it right now. If in 3 years we come back to this shit and I have to scream on here like, I told y'all, go back to Dirge.
Okay, here's what we're like, where we diverge. I would say that I don't know that there'll be DLC. That's where I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna be DLC. I feel like if anything, it would just be a part of the third.
Oh yeah,
game.
You're saying like the second game, like the third game would just end like the quarter of the way of what the original game
or
ended,
something. Yeah,
and
something
then
like that. Maybe, I don't know, because no,
because then they
maybe that's
force you
less
to play
likely.
Dirge. That's smart.
Yeah,
That's smart.
yeah.
Hold on, you might be
uh,
you're cooking.
what I did like, or I'm sorry, what I didn't like was that there wasn't a success or like confirmation screen that let you know when you completed an objective during the mission. So
Yes.
like there were so many times where I'm like it would show you like, oh, this is the mission, like it would pop up, in game. And then I didn't know if I completed it until the mission ended, and I was like, "Fuck!" Well, then I would have just went back to where, like, if I knew the status of the mission, like finding, like saving these people or
Oh
doing X, Y,
yes.
like,
Or they'll
there
be
was
like,
multiple things.
or they'll say like you got 11 out of 12.
Right.
Say you didn't talk to all the people in this one level, and you're like, who the fuck was the one person I missed? I wish you told me
Right.
when.
I mean,
Yeah,
granted, I guess the levels are kind of short, so maybe they were like,
and
"Well,
they're
it
pretty
doesn't
small
matter."
too, so and
Yeah,
they're
most of
replayable is pretty quick.
yeah. So yeah, maybe it's a non-issue entirely. But I would have liked, I don't know, just like, because they have so many options. I mean, you press pause or you press triangle, and then you have all those options. So I'm just
Yeah,
like,
you even got a status screen, the inventory
yeah. So
screen.
I'm
Like I
like,
don't use
yeah.
those.
No, never used this inventory screen once. So I'm
I
like,
just clicked it just to
give
be like, oh
me.
shit, it is an inventory screen.
I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't, you guys weren't pulling my leg and it was just gonna like go into nothing after I clicked it. But no, like, yeah, like a mission objective screen, and then just show me like, okay, these are the 3 things that you have for this level, and this is what you have so far. Kind of like, did you
Or
ever
on the
find the
map,
Mako vials? Oh, yeah, the map, yeah. But
the
did
Mako
did you ever
Bells.
find? Yeah, like they were hidden around the map. Did you find any of them?
Oh yes, 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 yes,
The
yes,
little
yes. I
orange
didn't know what the
tubes.
fuck those things were. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just shot them. I shot up a
Yeah,
couple of them and was like, okay, what is it? Is it a secret? Do I unlock a mission? Do I unlock some concept art? Like, what is this?
I
I,
didn't. Oh, by the way, I didn't unlock any gallery
Me
like
neither.
shit,
I
and I was
completed
like,
like
I
half
wanted
of
to.
the extra missions and I still didn't unlock anything on there.
I
I
was
don't know.
I was so confused and frustrated because I really did want to see like the character models up close. And
Same.
yeah, I think you had to do all of the fucking side missions or something. I don't know. The
I don't know.
challenges,
That's what. See, I
but
did like half of them and I didn't unlock anything at all.
I didn't even bother looking it up because it was already too late. I was like, I'm not going to come back to this.
Look, that's what I'm doing right now, and it's
Yeah,
telling me
what do you have to do?
you have to shoot the little containers, all those little
I
containers.
I have. Oh, wait, do you have to like get them for each Wait, that
Yeah,
doesn't make sense because there's
different.
been a couple times where I got all of them in one like level.
There's green capsules, red capsules, white capsules,
What?
yellow
Oh, wait.
capsules. What the
This
fuck?
must be this must be in the challenge missions.
Oh yes, in the individual
Okay.
extra missions. Yeah, yeah, they're all in extra missions. No wonder why I didn't see them because I was just
Wouldn't look up.
they were just fun to play. I didn't really
Yeah, it'd be nice if they would let you take your gun
load out.
modifications, because they just like, nah, you just use this. It's like, what? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, this
All
isn't the
right.
one I want.
Yeah,
Ooh,
like
why
I
you
don't.
might have like this.
That's like a main pillar of the game is the gun mod. Just yeah, the gun modding and the fact that they're like, no, you're just gonna take on the challenge missions with what limited fucking guns we're gonna give you. So that's kind of
I did
whack.
like that for certain missions, but it was a lot of the times I was kind of like, I just want to play extra missions just to keep fucking around with the build that I have. I like this.
Right.
I want to keep building this up. I want to buy some new mods and stuff, but
What did you think about the magic, the materia?
I only used it very sparingly. I only used it if I walked in a room and like 8 dudes was in the room. I would be like, oh, lighting.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's it. I never really used it. I felt
It was
Blizzard
something.
was ass, Fire was ass, Lightning was the only one that was like,
Blizzard was terrible. I'm like, who the fuck
who
would
would
use
use
this?
this?
It
Did
doesn't
you
make
use
any
the
sense.
materia booster?
Yes.
Did you
For
upgrade it all the way and stuff?
no, no, I didn't.
Yeah, it has no effect. You're good.
I did feel like the materia could have really played like an integral part. God, this is just me sort of like wishing this game was something else sometimes.
It could have
But
been more. It could have been. There
it
could have been a
it could have.
cure materia. There could have been a gravity materia. There could have been.
it could have. I feel like that it could have affected your ammo, like your ammunition. Like if I
Yeah.
equip this materia, my bullets are all going to be ice bullets, and those are good against this enemy. And that could have added like we're always talking about, or I feel like I'm always talking about like elemental weaknesses and strengths, but I
Because
feel like that would have.
it
It's
works in
cool.
everything.
Yeah, it's cool.
It works in
You
every
know?
single thing. If you don't have elemental weaknesses, then what are we doing this for?
Are
Don't
you
give me a
even an
fire.
RPG?
Yeah, don't
Are
give me
you
no
even an
fire.
RPG? Exactly. Yeah. Like that would have been sick if you had fire bullets, or fucking electric bullets or whatever.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first picked up materia, I thought that's what it was gonna be. I was like, okay, it was like on some Operation Raccoon City shit. Like, all right, just activate fire bullets. Then it's like, no. You're gonna shoot a spell,
No,
bro.
yeah, no, that's it. Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Like this blizzard attack, it's gonna be super slow. Like it's
gonna home
awesome.
in, but it's
you're gonna
swinging
love
slow
it.
as fuck.
Yeah, the enemy's gonna move out of the way. And it's also not gonna freeze them. So just
gonna
so
do
you know,
0 damage whatsoever.
it's doesn't really do much, but keep it. Here's a materia booster. I just have to say that it was. I was telling Elise this, my girlfriend, just that it was so nice going back to this game. It felt like playing a piece of my childhood or teen years, I guess, because I was like 13, 14. But
I can agree with you on that.
it was very, very nostalgic. And I think about some other games. I'm like, damn, we don't really have much left for me to play to get that feeling out of. Now it's just going to be a bunch of games I've seen but never actually played. But this was a special one, and I sort of lament playing almost all of my special games in one season.
Do you feel vindicated knowing that you played a game as a kid and you played it now as an adult and it's just as good?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a little bit better just because I understand it more. I mean, it's not like the greatest game or anything, but it was just
guilty pleasure.
Yeah, very, very, very guilty pleasure for sure. I feel like maybe as time goes on, what's gonna happen too is that we're gonna look back on like, damn, remember when we played fucking State of Emergency and we fucking clowned on it, and like now that's a nostalgic game, or like
we're gonna be
Lord of the Rings or something.
Fuck no.
Yeah,
I might go back to State of Emergency, but Lord of the Rings, now you're pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only one we got left is what, Dark Cloud 2? Yeah, in terms of like games from our childhood that are like super nostalgic for.
I would say we have. Dark Cloud 2 wasn't one of mine, but
damn, never mind.
Oh, X-Men Legends. Whenever we get to that.
Yeah, we did say that.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. Everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us today on another episode of
Rack of the Back.
HPMP.
Rack of the Back. Hat of the Rack.
Hat of the Rack. Crack Attack.
Look, but I'm such a poser.
Thanks. Oh my, don't let fucking Goated see you play. He's trying to get us to play Mario 64. Anyways, thanks guys for watching again. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Let us know if you've played fucking Dirge of Cerberus. Cerberus.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Sherberts.
Yeah. So yeah, just let us know. Leave your comments. You can follow us on Twitter. We have a Back of the Rack Twitter now. That's somewhat new. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok. But you'll pretty much be seeing the same content on those 3 channels.
Hey, look,
but still follow us.
Join the Discord. You want to talk with us? You want to talk about video games? Join the Discord. You want to play these games with us? You want to know what we're playing next? Parasite Eve. Come join us. Come play with us.
Yeah.
Come talk with us. Come chat. Come link us some random shit about the games.
Yeah. And also, don't forget that we do have a more conversational, not that this wasn't conversational, but strictly unrestricted conversation about just other games, life, movies, media stuff. That one's called Status Check. So by the time this comes out, we'll probably be on our 2nd or 3rd episode. So check us out there if you want something that's not just about one specific game like this, like a sort of deep dive or anything like that. But yeah, join us on Discord. and share this video with any other people that you know might like back of that games, as we call them.
Dirge of Cerberus.
All right, guys, you have a good one.
Toodaloo.
Peace.